Hello and good day, and welcome to the Thoughts and Players Gaming Podcast. We are on level 37 and a half. Yes, I did not have a great topic, so I thought we would just freestyle it for this bonus level. My name is Cory, and I'm your host this week, and I have both the compadres, as Jeremy calls them. First up, we have Jeremy.
Hello.
Hello. And now we have David.
Hello. What up? That's two recordings in a row. I don't know.
He's got.
Speech
I think you
therapy.
just need to drop it, man.
I know, right?
It's not working for you anymore.
Well, I mean, you also did me first and then David, which kind of messes up the flow of everything. So,
Oh, right, because you always put me last. Because I
right.
always do a stupid gaming quote, and you have to kind of
Well,
regroup after
well,
it.
you're calling them stupid. I didn't say they were stupid, but sure.
Yeah, like I said before, I don't know how much longer I can keep it going. We need like a clean break. We need like level 100 to get here so I can start something new.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, thanks guys for joining me. Like I said, it's just going to be kind of a midway point, in between major levels. You get this smaller one that should be a little pretty good discussion. I had talked to you guys about I had to buy a set of Joy-Cons last week. As everyone knows, Nintendo, they really screwed up on the Joy-Cons with the Joy-Con drift. So I had to get another one because I'm buying Mario Party later this month, and I'm very excited for it. But you need controllers to play it. You can't do it with one Pro controller. So
Right.
I just wanted to kind of know: is there anything more unsatisfying than buying controllers? Like in your gaming purchased life, is there anything more unsatisfying? Because in my mind, it sucks buying a controller.
Hmm.
I'm right there with you,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it's worse. But like having to go out and buy like a charging station for your controllers, like cool, you don't
Mm.
have to have it plugged in and everything to your console, but to have it like sit there and then the one I bought, it died within like a year.
Oh no.
And I never bought another one. So now I'm back into the plugged in play.
Right.
But yeah, so buying a charging station, that just not a fan of that.
That's a great pick.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say disappointing purchase, if we're talking in general, it would probably be the MacBook I am currently using right now.
Oh.
But uh as far as gaming goes, David, I'm along with you. Like I had to buy the charging plug and play thing for my Xbox One controller when I first bought my Xbox One.
That's exactly what I'm
And
talking about.
it was disappointment on top of disappointment, it turns
Yep.
out, because the Xbox itself was disappointing, and then having to get
What?
the charge for the controller because they decided we're not going to have your controller just be chargeable through a regular plug like a PlayStation's been doing for a minute here. That
Right.
was really disappointing. And then, of course, slightly more disappointing would be the fact that I had to do the exact same thing for my Series X controller. So, yeah, it's just a waste. Controllers aren't that compelling in general, but
Yeah, I actually think that's a better choice than the controller because at least with the controller, when you bring it home, it's got like a brand new tactile feel. The analog sticks are fresh, the buttons have a nice clicking sound. It's
yeah,
expensive, but
Right.
it's like, okay, hey, I feel like it's brand new. A charging station is just you buy that and you feel emotionless when you come home. It's
Yeah.
nothing.
It's not exciting. It's not like, yeah, this is awesome. It's just like cool.
you're just
Right.
doing something to make it less inconvenient. It is still inconvenient, but
Yeah.
you're
Right.
just doing something to make it less.
And like with Xbox, it could have been fixed already for the last couple generations. Put in internal battery. I know some people don't like it, but I mean,
I mean, having the option would be great. And
right.
I just going based off from what I've heard and seen, I don't know if it's like facts, but apparently Xbox has like a deal with Duracell. And I don't know if it's going to run out when or whenever, but that's why they don't put charging controllers from the get-go.
Yeah, that sucks. Like I said, it's not a fun purchase. Another one that I had, and I had mentioned to you this the other day, is definitely buying re-upping on online services. Jeremy, you subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate, so Game Pass and Xbox Live.
Yep.
Okay, David, do you subscribe to anything?
Yeah. The Game Pass Ultimate, whatever. So it's on the Xbox and my PC.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Now I'll say Game Pass isn't bad at all, because you get games and they're monthly. But when like you're playing and you go to play an online game and you're like, my service ended, and then you got to drop $60 just to be able to play a game online. That's like so deflating. I hate it so much.
Yeah, especially when you can play the exact same game on PC. Get charged.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be a little bit of a factor. I know you guys are a lot more PC than I am. Like, have you specifically purchased games for PC because it's like I don't want to pay the monthly fee or the yearly fee?
I haven't chosen PC over Xbox, but there was before I played PC. I was into Titanfall 2, and I was playing the crap out of it, and my service ended, so I had to drop the $60, like you said, just to play the dang game. And I was like, I really don't want to drop the $60 right now, but I want something to do. So I feel the feet there.
Yeah, I usually don't play multiplayer games, so the advantage that PC offers doesn't really apply to me that much there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing, you don't have to purchase it, obviously, but patches, man. Especially like day one patches, or like when you get home to play and you come home and it's like 8 GB patch, and I don't know how quick your internet is, but mine used to be really slow, and it would take hours. And it's the same exact game that you left it. They did some internal stuff that changed up, fixed the menu bug. It's like, man,
that's I definitely think like day one patches contribute into your initial reaction to a game, if ever you find it disappointing or not. Like if you bring it home to install it on your whatever system or your PC, and it's going to take like an hour or two to install anyway, just the base game, and then they're like, oh hey, surprise, here's a 60 gig patch, it's going to take another hour and a half, then you're definitely like, yeah, I've had instances where I had to wait 3-4 hours of me buying a game before I could play it. And it's like by then all the excitement is gone. You're like, all right, well, I'm just gonna, piss off and play some other game. And then I end up getting more into the other game I decided to play in the interim of waiting for the other game to finish download. And I'm like, why did you even get this for? So yeah, I mean, definitely.
So that's one of the things I miss about consoles is like midnight releases and stuff. You could just buy the game and go play it right away.
Exactly.
Now they don't have that advantage anymore. Either way, PC, console, you still have to download it and wait for the game to be fully on the hard drive.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that got away.
That's a great point about the midnight releases. Now, I also think Christmas is affected. I can't imagine all the kids that get like a system for the first time at Christmas. And it's literally because there is so much setup, so many downloads on that. It's literally like a 3 to 4 hour process just to get your like you start Christmas morning excited. And by the time 1 o'clock rolls around and it's finally on, you're like, this sucked.
I mean, imagine the schmuck that Christmas got an Xbox One and Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, all day.
They didn't even play it on Christmas.
New Year's Eve.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, there's a lot of them. Do you guys have any more just unsatisfying?
I do actually. Now, I didn't purchase it because I was too young, but back on the first PlayStation, they had this thing you could plug in so that way you can play with four people. It was like an adapter. Might have been PS2, I don't know, but it never worked. We couldn't get it to work. We could never play the 4-player, even on the games where it was 4-player or whatever. Just never worked, and I was always kind of mad about that. I don't know if it was the PlayStation I had, the adapter that they bought. Never worked.
My unsatisfying one, this is going old school, and I don't know if you guys had this or remember this, but the original PlayStation or any of those, like, I mean, even the current systems are like disc driven, but the original PlayStation, they had this thing you could get. I forgot if it was 15 or 20 bucks, but it was a cleaner for it, right? It was a disc and it had the little brush bristles on it. And you put some kind of fluid on there. You put it in there and let it spin and it clean the system, right? It's like, okay, cool. I paid the equivalent of a game to get something that just spins in my game system's disk drive and brushes it. I mean, I got a toothbrush. I can do that myself. I don't know why I'm doing this. It was the most unsatisfying thing because you're like, all right, it's time to clean it. Let me go ahead and push a little tube and it's okay. Now I gotta wait before I can play Madden or something else.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about all these purchases. Like, they all cost so much money that you could have bought a game, and that's why we're in this hobby, because we like playing games. So like when I bought the charging station, it's like I could have been a nice little mid-tier game. You know, a game's on sale for $20. I could have got that, and now instead I'm charging my my stinking controllers. But yeah, another one for me was it wasn't so unsatisfying, but as the time went on, it got that way. I don't know if you guys both had GameCubes, and there was 2 games that let you connect your GameCube to your Game Boy Advance, and then you could play the Game Boy Advance as controllers on the GameCube. I believe those games were Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles and The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords. Now, it was very cool technology, and it made, you know, the 4-player games, but it was literally for 2 games, and that was it. And getting 4 people with 4 Game Boy Advances, it was just like, I got to use that sucker like twice, and then it went in a box, never to be played with again.
Yeah.
Right.
So, right. Yeah. Lots of stuff that they try to like haggle you with and make you spend your money. Not the greatest, guys. Not the greatest.
No.
No.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
All right, let's move on from that a little bit. Did you guys know Far Cry 6 came out this week?
I thought it was coming out. I didn't know it came out.
Yeah, I
think
was
it came
reminded.
out yesterday, right?
It came out someday around this time. That's
By the
that,
time
that
you
is
hear
correct.
this, it would have came out already. So you guys are good. So I've had this conversation a lot with my buddy. What is my biggest gaming franchise that I've never even experienced? And I never had a really good answer for him. And don't know why it never hit me. But when Far Cry 6 came out, I'm like, I've never actually put any time into any Far Cry. I think I played Far Cry Primal for 5 minutes, which I don't really count as really getting into a series. So I think Far Cry is my biggest gaming franchise I've never played. Do you guys have any that you haven't touched, and why would that be?
One of mine would have to be the God of War franchise.
Why, David?
And I don't. Well, for the main reason for the latest ones is I just don't have PlayStation consoles. But back then, when the PS2, when the original came out, it, I couldn't buy my own games at the time, and it wasn't nothing that we were like excited for. So it never really popped up on our whatever the word I'm looking for.
Radar?
Radar, that's it. I was thinking I could
Okay.
see it in my head.
Ding,
But yes,
ding.
it wasn't on the radar. So I just never got into it.
I wonder if he would like it. Jeremy, do you think he would be a fan? I know it's not typically his type of game, but
I think God of War 2018, he would dig that.
yeah, I think you would too. You're
It's
gonna
a
get a
great game.
PS5, right? Eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
Okay, I definitely think you should down. I believe it's free if you have PlayStation Plus. I think that's one of the offerings. So
Okay.
Got to think about it too. The main thing around that game, a father and son story. David's got little
yeah,
Zayden. I think you'd connect with. They're really good. That's
really
a
good
game he
story.
needs to get into. Yeah.
I'll remember that.
Any other that come to mind, David?
I guess technically it'd be like the World of Warcraft. Like I've never wanted to play those games, but I have a friend that like begged me to try to get into it. So I played it for like an hour on his account, made a new guy and whatever. I hated it. It's like I was right. Like I don't want to play this.
You knew.
So yeah, I've just I'm not into that type of game, so I just never got into it. But that is such a popular game. I have so many friends that wouldn't hang out because they had raid nights. So
Nerds.
Exactly. That's the biggest 2 main ones that I could think of right now.
Okay. Jeremy, I feel like you're a man of very distinguished taste, so I think there might be a couple on here that might be surprising to us. I don't know, but what do you have for
Well,
us?
the one that jumps off to mind that I've never played before, as far as biggest franchise, is probably going to be the Final Fantasy one.
Never.
I've never played a single Final Fantasy game. I just find nothing about them interesting, and
Really?
yeah, and I don't know why that is, but there's some things where I maybe see a trailer or I hear like a synopsis of the story or something, and I'm like, oh, I have absolutely no remote interest in exploring this. It was the same with like Game of Thrones. Like I've had people say, hey, you'd be interested in Game of, like, no. They're like, but you love Skyrim. I'm like, yes, but no, I have no interest in this show, so I'm not even going to try. It's not a matter of I don't know if I'll like it. I'm just not interested. So first I have to have, if I hate something, you got a shot of me actually playing it and enjoying it. Like I said, I hate beat Limbo. Like I
Right.
beat that game that I hated, but I have no remote interest in Final Fantasy. I've never played that before. That's probably the biggest one I think of when I come to mind. Also, the Deus Ex series. I've never played a single one of
Mm,
those.
okay.
Um,
Really, that kind of sounds up your alley.
it does,
Right.
but I don't know. Just, but that's one that I've flirted with. Like when Human Revolution came out, I
Hmm.
was like, all right, maybe, but I just never got around to it. So that's one that I may eventually end up staggering upon. But the Final Fantasy, I just don't really have any interest in it. It's something I appreciate its impact and how many people absolutely love that franchise and the everything it's
Yeah.
done for gaming, but it's just something I couldn't care less to play it, really.
Now, do you guys like? For me personally, with Far Cry 6, I don't feel like I'm missing out, but it's one of those things where, like, man, Far Cry is obviously a popular series. There's probably about 10 of them overall, along
Hmm.
with like the expansions and the big DLCs. And I kind of do want to jump into one eventually, but it just never seems like the right timing. I don't know what it is. Would you guys? I don't know if you played Far Cry 6. Would you recommend it? That, like, Jeremy, I know you've actually played Far Cry. You said I should play Far Cry 4. I should jump into this series, or should I just let it go?
I think so. Far Cry, I mean, it's arguable with two, but 3 and 4 had honestly some of the best antagonists in gaming that as far as the writing goes, and
Okay.
it's specifically 4 with Pagan Min. I think I think if you play 4, you pretty much experience what Far Cry is, right? I think that's the one that kind of tells you. Some people might argue 3. 3 is really good too, but to me, 3 is a bit too mechanically dated in order for it to feel relevant.
Okay.
Four is relevant enough. Pretty much 4. The way that 5 and 6 are, they're just iterations of Far Cry 4. So
Or in a
um,
different setting, different. Yeah.
exactly. It's
Okay.
it's it's kind of like, I mean, Ubisoft does it all. It's the same thing like with
Yeah.
Assassin's
with all
Creed,
with
right?
with
Like,
every one of their games.
yeah, like they made the big changes mechanically with Origins, and then Odyssey and Valhalla were just refinements of it. So it's the same thing. 4 gives you original experience, but 4 has one of the best antagonists written in gaming. And there's 3 different ways to beat the game. One of them is hidden, but it's super cool. Um, yeah, I would say that's probably the one that you would experience. So I think in that aspect, you're missing out. Are you missing out on great gunplay? Far Cry's gunplay isn't that good. I know we had talked before. You mentioned like, hey, you get to utilize animals, and that's interesting. It's
Yeah.
novel. It's novel after a while, and then it just kind of gets like it's just quicker and easier to go in with an M16 and take care of business, and to try to bait an elephant into running over people. But the fact that you can do that is cool.
Right.
And then obviously they're also known for their different locales, which is why
Right.
I say Far Cry 4 is great, because Far Cry 4 takes place, I believe, in like the Himalayas. 5 takes place in Colorado. 6 takes place in some
Like a
South American
Cuba.
country, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, those are all places we've kind of had a taste of before. The Himalayas, not really. It's an interesting place. So, and the moral choices you're presented with, it has all those and stuff too. They have good writing all around for the characters. So that's where I'd say Far Cry shines. But even 6, from what I'm hearing, it's just Giancarlo Esposito plays the bad guy. it sounds like he's just a cookie cutter bad guy, like cartel
Right.
bad guy. Pagan Min is incredibly interesting as an antagonist. So I say more so for Far Cry 4 just to experience the antagonist. I think it's I think it's almost kind of like, I'm not saying it's of the same quality, but if you think of something like a Dark Knight, like to me, people when they go back and they watch that Dark Knight, they watch it for the Joker. It's kind of the same thing with Far Cry 4. Like I bought Far Cry 4 again for Pagan Min because I want to experience that battle I had with him as an antagonist again. I don't really care that much about everything else. So that's the one I say you should try, maybe. And because
you're
it's
kind of
older,
convincing
it's cheap.
me. I know you're kind of convincing me right now. I'm kind of
Well,
hyped about it.
Well, you have an Xbox, so next time you're around, you can just borrow my copy.
Okay, yeah, that sounds
borrow
good.
it. Yeah.
Now speaking gameplay wise, I always got like a Just Cause, but first person. Is that close, or am I way off base?
That's I can see that connection.
Okay.
Just Cause is more fun to me, but
Right.
I can see that connection. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and jump into David's game. David, are you on board for God of War? Like, is that something once you get the PS5, or does Jeremy have to go on to another 5 minute? The villain's not as good in God of War 2018, but
I am down to try it because, like, I know I am a fan of like old and like lore, so like that's why I played Hellblade: Sonika's Revenge or whatever it was called.
Sacrifice, I think.
Sacrifice, yes, thank you.
Okay.
And I just really like the lore behind all that, and that's why I loved that game. So I know God of War is about he's like facing like the Greek gods.
In the 2018 one, it's Norse.
Norse gods, so even better. I like
good.
Norse stuff. So like yeah, I'm definitely down to try them. I just didn't have the game when I was younger, and then didn't have the consoles when I was older.
Yeah, I would say 2018 is a great jumping off point. Like the first three are great action games, but it's looking back at it, it's kind of not even childish, but immature, I would almost say. Kratos is like a caricature. There's massive sex scenes and just way over the top stuff. Like in the 2018 Kratos version, he's very mature. He's still got that anger, but it's built into his character much better, in my opinion, and it delivers an excellent story. Now, the first three, like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of them. My brother was, but there are a lot of spectacle, huge bosses, and these great set pieces, and they're great for that. But 2018 really takes that aspect and just really dials it down while keeping it like intimate and still like really bloody and visceral. It's a great game, man. I really hope when you get your PS5, you definitely check out 2018, and hopefully it gets you hyped for Ragnarok.
Yeah, they're so mechanically and tonally different.
Yeah,
even if you play like Assassin's Creed again, like even if you play the older ones and play the newer ones, you can still see a little bleed over from the older ones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really feel any of that from God of War 2018 compared to the older ones, except that it's Kratos, and except that if you think back on those stories, obviously the stories in those games feed into his character development.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, like the way it feels, the way everything works, I mean.
Well, I didn't play that much of the first three, a little bit here and there, but they were almost like arena based. Like you would go and it'd be like a camera that like a fixed camera, right?
Yeah.
And you would move around there. And like that's why I say visceral in the 2018 version, because you are right behind him. You are right over the shoulder of Kratos, and you are so much in the action. You have total control of that camera. It feels really good. And the axe is just one of the best weapons to play in gaming. It's so much fun.
That's exactly what I was going to say, David. If you don't know, you have an axe, and you can throw the axe, and you can call the axe back.
That's cool.
Not only can you throw the axe, you can then run and then fight with your fist and beat him up, and then call it back. And if the guy is in your way, it will go through him.
That's
so
cool.
There's so many, like I've seen combo videos. There's so many cool things people have done. I've never got that good at it, but yeah, so many cool things.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys really make it sound intriguing. So
that'll
be one of the first games I get, because I do want to play Ghosts when I get a PS5.
Oh, Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think you'll like that one. I can't imagine anyone playing it for any amount of time and being like, "Oh, just not for me." Well, you have bad taste, man. All right, David, can we do the impossible? Jeremy, you said they just weren't for you. You were just never interested. Can you expand on that a little bit? Is it the character designs? I know they're very uh pro-Japanese designs with like, long hair, big swords. Is that the
Right.
thing that kind of
They're
turns you off? I feel like
they're
that
the
would be number one, right?
pinnacle JRPG. Does the art style turn me off?
The character designs, I would think.
Character designs? Here's the thing. Maybe. Right? Because I've also never cared for Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
And so I think about stuff like that. But like, I mean, I don't know. I've been playing Yakuza and then the character design is not the same, but it's JRPGs, and
True.
I've been playing the crap out of that game and I don't even know why. Sometimes I feel like I don't even like it. I've been playing it. So I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I just never found just never found it interesting. And so
And I,
yeah.
yeah, I find it interesting that you don't find it interesting because I feel like Final Fantasy, like, it's a fantasy game, of course, but it does have like these deep themes. Like, David, me and you are big fans of 10.
Yeah.
That is very religious based. That is very technology based, where
Mhm.
technology is bad and then, ends up religion is bad and stuff like that. It takes it very seriously. Now, in between, there's a lot of, the ha 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 scene and there's a lot of weird characters, but it's a good game. Are you not a fan of, no, you're a fan of turn based a little bit, right?
Like turn-based combat?
Yeah, turn based combat. Because you just said you've been playing
Hmm.
Yakuza like a dragon.
Right.
Or is that like an outlier kind of?
But like a Dragon's turn-based doesn't play most other turn-based.
It's a really cool turn-based system. It almost
Yeah.
feels like it's in motion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That may be part of it, I'm thinking, right? Because I played a little bit of what is it called? Octopath Traveler, right?
Yes.
And I couldn't get into that game for some reason. So I don't know if maybe it's the combat. I don't know. Because I've played a bunch of other turn-based stuff. Like I played tactics games. That's all turn-based crap.
Right.
And like totally fine there. So I don't know.
Now I do kind of want to throw in there like my brother played the crap out of 7 and I had no interest in it. Just didn't look interesting. I'm not a fan of it. But
The
like
remake or the original?
the original.
Okay.
And Final Fantasy X came out. I played that one and I really enjoyed it. And X2 is my favorite one. But then I tried 13 when that came out. I wasn't a fan of it. So like X2 and X are the only ones that I like. So it might just happen to be which one you would play,
It's
if anything. If anything.
that's a great point because every Final Fantasy has a different themes, pretty much different settings, different cast of characters, obviously, and they all have sort of different combat. So
Yeah. And see if that was like the single case, there may be an argument to that, except that 15 is live regular action. It's not turn
yeah,
based.
yeah,
So then, and I had no interest in 15.
right.
So, you know,
It's tough because, like David, I loved Final Fantasy X. I hated X2, hated Final Fantasy 12, hated Final Fantasy 13.
yeah.
15 was okay. I never really got too far into it, and I love Final Fantasy 7 remake. I don't know what it is about that franchise.
It's just
And
it's in a lot of places. So I feel like it's grasping at a lot of different areas in the gaming industry, but yet
mhm,
in the same kind of zone.
Mm.
So it's kind of like a, I don't know, Venn diagram. Is that the one with all the different circles that kind of
yeah,
overlap? I think
Hmm.
it's kind of like that. It has the main circle, but then this, Final Fantasy 7 caters to this, 10 caters to this. So it's pick and choosy, I feel like. But
and
if you don't have a circle in that zone, you're not gonna like any of them.
just to clarify, you like haven't touched any of them.
Final Fantasy.
Like
No, I haven't played any of them.
not like Final Fantasy Theme Rhythm, the rhythm game on DS, not Final Fantasy
Mhm.
Tactics.
No, I
I
haven't.
I've Oh, man.
I did play Crystal Chronicles. I forgot I had that on the GameCube.
Right, Crystal Chronicles. That was a good one.
I
Yeah.
played that for maybe a couple hours and I just didn't like it. Like I liked 10.
Final Fantasy: My Life as a King on the Wii.
No, nothing. Final
Have you heard of
Fantasy.
that one, David? Have you heard of that one?
No.
That's a city builder.
Ah,
Where you build up your city and then you send warriors out to do missions for you, and they bring you back goods, and you use that to help build up your city a little more. But I'm impressed, Jeremy, because I think out of all these franchises, Final Fantasy is probably the biggest out of our three picks.
It is.
Like, it's been there since the beginning, and it continues strong. And for you not to have touched one of them,
yeah.
I'm surprised and I'm intrigued. Like, I kind of want you to play one of them, but I'm not sure. I think Final Fantasy Tactics would be your jam 100%. It's got a really cool fantasy story about like powerful families, and it's got really good tactics gameplay. So I'm gonna find a way to get you to play that. Like, find a way for you to be able to play it.
It's weird. I was thinking about it's like another franchise I haven't played a game from is Bayonetta, right?
Okay.
Like Bayonetta is made by Platinum, right?
Yep.
Platinum also made Vanquish.
You love Vanquish, don't you?
I beat it like 3 times.
How does that work? How does that work where you enjoy a game from a company and then arguably a game that has just as good as quality as Vanquish, you're like, nah, I'm cool. I'm good. I'm fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like the magic element. I'm just not like I'm just not big into or something. Vanquish is, army guy into modern corpse, troops. I don't know. Maybe it tapped into like more of the kind of history, World War II-ish, or at least like army military buff in me. So maybe that's why I gravitated a bit more.
Okay, yeah, for sure. I mean, Bayonetta has Umbra witches and angels and demons, and it's very, very campy. I know Vanquish is campy, because I played that earlier this year. It's very campy, but it's a lot of fun. But yeah, very interesting. I don't know, David. If you would suggest a Final Fantasy game for him, what would it be? Would it be 10? I know that's your favorite, but is that the one you?
I mean, based on my suit of opinion, would be 10 or X2. But like you were saying, the game that would probably cater to him the most would either be Tactics or the City Builder, even though that's not anything like any of the other Final Fantasies. It just pretty much has a Final Fantasy title on it.
It's also probably a trash city builder, to be honest. I don't play many of them, so when I buy it, I'm like, this game's cool. Jeremy buys it. He's like, oh, this is made for a 5-year-old. So,
highly possible.
Right.
I mean, but you know what? What's his Minecraft Adventures is made for 5-year-olds, and it's not that bad. It's a pretty fun game.
Oh, the dungeon crawl one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so here's the thing. Like I said, biggest game franchise we haven't played. I'm interested in playing a Far Cry game. David, you sound very interested in playing God of War. Jeremy, you just want to be. If they interest you, you might play, but so far it hasn't hit.
Right.
Intriguing. I like that. We're gonna all have to try to knock one out before the year's done, or no, year's almost done. Before next year. No pressure on us.
Right. Yeah, I'll see. Yeah, I'll see if I can find a Final Fantasy. So older ones are on Xbox Game Pass. Like a bunch of them are.
Oh,
I'm gonna try to find a way for you to play Final Fantasy Tactics: War of the Lion. That one is probably my second or third favorite Final Fantasy. It's just great story, great. It's tactics. You like that kind of stuff, so
yeah.
I'm gonna try to find a way. When I come over to borrow Far Cry 4, I'll have a copy of that.
There you go.
Any other last minute suggestions or admissions to this category, guys?
No.
I can think of to myself.
Am I missing any huge PC franchises? Because I don't play PC. So is there anything that you can say, hey, this is one of the biggest games on PC? Cory, have you played it?
Biggest games are like game franchises.
Franchises, yeah.
So I know that it's mostly coming from like a card game or wherever the crap it came from, but the Warhammer 40K universe, that's like super huge.
Okay. Yeah,
and
that's
like
definitely a miniatures game.
Yeah, and the the Total War Warhammer 40K games, they're like the biggest, most successful Total War games. I know when most people hear Total War, they think Total War Rome, Total War Medieval. The Warhammer 40K ones are like top, like most best-selling, all that stuff.
Actually, I have played that.
You have?
Yeah, I own it. I played it. Not long because it was a beast to get into.
Yeah.
I turned that on and it was instantly like a million words, a million things, and I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
So,
It's like
but
my
What about
problem is
what about
my problem is
Sims?
Sims, yeah, for sure. I like
yeah.
Sims.
That's been on like
Sims,
GameCube. I had
yeah,
Urban, I think it was.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Played the crap
yeah.
out of that one.
Definitely played Sims, SimCity, Diablo, of course. A little bit of StarCraft. I know that's pretty huge. Command and Conquer, I believe I played.
Okay.
Guess I've never played Dota 2. That might be.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah. What
That might,
about LOL?
oh, League of Legends.
No,
Yes, I have
Yeah.
played that
I haven't played that because my
because
brother
of
was
the.
really big into it. He's like, "This, you just don't want to get into this game. The community is the most toxic, saltiest community you ever come by." I'm like, "That's all I need. I really don't want to deal with those kind of people."
So I'm interested in that actually a little bit because we don't actually get to play together too much. We all kind of play different games and we're all kind of on different systems almost. I'm primarily PlayStation, Jeremy kind of Xbox, PC, and David obviously PC. What would that do to you, David? Because I'm interested because you've mentioned that before. Would you feed into that or just ignore it, or would you get very annoyed to the fact where you would have to respond? I want to know what
I'll
you
be
would
honest
do.
with you, it's all of them. It's
You
really
would
gonna depend on the day, how bad
really?
of a day I had, and like,
I would have never guessed. You're
yeah,
such a like.
because I mean, I grew up playing Modern Warfare 2, so I've heard a lot of it, and I'll be able to retaliate pretty easy. I'm quick on my feet when it comes to wittiness and stuff like that, so it's not gonna be hard to just fight back with them. I just prefer not to because that just ruins the day even more. And with that being like the worst community, just staying away from it and having to deal with it like once in a while on like Apex and Overwatch or DBD, like it's not gonna strain my day.
Yeah, fair enough. I would say maybe LOL has one of the worst fan bases in gaming.
Mm.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
Gentlemen, if you don't have anything else to say, I think we can start wrapping this level up.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So, as everyone knows, at the end of levels, we give a final thought. So let's jump right into that. David, do you have a final thoughts for this level?
Um,
He's looking around
I
his room,
do.
people.
Yeah, I'm looking for ideas. Um, in August, I went and saw my friend in Portland, and unfortunately, when I was there, he got me back into the Magic. So I've been playing Magic again lately. But he got me into the Commander play style. So it's a 100 card deck. You can only have one of each card, and we didn't play that back when I played before, and it's actually been quite fun. It's a lot cheaper, and I'm not too upset about it, but I'm also kind of glad because it's something that we can do now because there's a website you can play on and everything, and it's a double-edged sword. That's my final thought.
All right. Jeremy, would you like to go?
Sure. My final thought is I'm not a big fan of remakes or remasters, but I need a Max Payne remake or remaster. That needs to happen because I miss it.
The original.
The original.
Fantastic game.
Mm-hmm.
Another one I
Fantastic.
never played.
I feel like you could have a top 10 list, David.
I probably could, to be honest with you.
I feel like you could.
I have hyperfixations. I'll just play the same game, same franchise like all the time. And that's why one of the reasons I'm really into Resident Evil because I just play the games constantly.
Right, right.
Yeah, I kind of have the opposite of that. That's why I never beat games. So I'm trying to make myself beat the games I'm playing.
Yeah, I finished 3 games this year. Ratchet and Clank, Deathloop, and Resident Evil Village. So
There you go.
not a great no, it's not there you go. It's not been a great year.
Is it usually every
Anyways,
game you play?
that I don't beat.
No, that you do beat like before.
No, I don't. I actually don't beat that many games. I'm kind of like
Okay.
Jeremy. I buy games like every 2 weeks. So if I'm not done with the game by the time I buy my new game, it just gets dropped.
I saw the amount of
Unfortunately.
games that I either haven't played or barely played in my Steam collection, and I got so sad today.
Oh, it probably hurt your heart.
I'm never gonna finish these.
Oh yeah, backlog. That's a topic for another day.
Oh, yeah.
Backlog, because I'm sure we all got them.
Yep.
Yes. So my final thought is kudos to Nintendo, because I've actually purchased 3 Nintendo Switch games I will be purchasing in the last month. WarioWare Inc., Metroid Dread, and Mario Party. I don't think I've purchased 3 Switch games in a month.
Is it a new Mario Party that's coming out?
It's Mario Party Superstars, which is a accumulation of all the best mini games from previous Mario Parties, which at this point I would rather have that.
Yeah, because like I have Mario Party for the Switch, or my son does, and we play it. But that sounds good.
Yeah, I'm definitely picking it up because it has Booksquirm, and if either you know what Booksquirm is, I'm a big fan of you. Do you?
I might know the game, but I don't know the names of them.
Mario Party 4, you're on a book, the pages fall down, and you've got to go in where the little patterns are, where the little openings.
Yep.
Favorite game of all time. Love that game. All right, gentlemen, thank you for jumping on to this bonus level. Like I said, level 37.5. Really appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. And if you like what you heard, check us out on all the podcast websites. Subscribe. Please tell a friend. We appreciate everything you guys show us love-wise. And if you want to hear more from us, check out Twitter, check out TikTok, Facebook. We're on all those things. We're on YouTube, where Jeremy is working very, very hard. So give us some love on there. We appreciate it so much. And that is all for this bonus level. Goodbye.